Okay, let's begin. Okay. By show of hands, do you wish to get leadership position in your life, in your career? Raise your hands and say yes.
Guys,
Good.
raise your hands.
Good, good. Now, by show of hands, do you wish you had more influence in everything you do, whether in work life or in personal life? You want more influence? Raise your hands and say yes. Great. I see a lot of hands there. Again, by show of hands, do you wish you made an impact globally? This is a global word, my friends. If you could make impact globally, wouldn't you wish that happened to you? Raise your hands and say yes. Great. Now imagine that you advance in your career with more impact and more income, more influence. Imagine that you raise up the corporate ladder in a global world. Imagine you do all of that while having harmony around you, harmony with your family, with society, with work, with your management, with company, with industry. Wouldn't it be great? In a moment, I'll tell you a few of the tips and experiences that I have had that will help you achieve exactly that. Would you like to hear about it?
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Welcome.
Sir,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. Just a second. The students and faculty and everyone, probably whatever the questions you are having in the session, please आप chat में type कर दीजिए. We will take it out at the end once our session is completed. Thank you. Yes, sir. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No problem. And while we are doing at that, I wanted to tell you that I would like it to be at least an interactive session in some way that you react to the things that I asked about. I also have some polls and all. Please answer the polls through the chat window. I don't want it to be like a one-way lecture, right? I mean, you guys are all very already mature adults. So I would like some participation as well, right? So please keep that in mind. Welcome to my talk on traits of a global leader. Today is a global, and in this global world, we have to possess some of the qualities that good, very, very advanced, successful, and confident leaders show. It is not just enough to have the technical knowledge to become a leader. You need to show those traits. And what are they? They are exactly the ones that I'm going to talk to you about. But before I do that, let me tell you why I do what I do. I do coaching and training for the professionals to advance and achieve that career goals that you have. I do that because I believe that there should be harmony around us, whether it is with family or society or friends, complete harmony. There's no point having success when you're stressful, you're stressed. If you're not able to spend time with family, if you're not able to do the homework with your kids, you're not able to take family to vacation, that's not a success. You got to have harmony around you. I also believe that the world is a much better place if we connect and care for each other. So how do we connect and care? How do we connect with people? How do we really see from others' point of view? I'm going to touch upon some of that in today's talk. And lastly, I believe the leader's impact is not just limited to the team that leader leads. Leader has much larger role to play in society. Leader's impact is not only on team, but also on organization, in society, and in the world as a whole. So already you heard a lot about me. Let me tell you a few more nuggets about my background so that you have better understanding. So already you know that I am the founder and CEO of Quantum Vision Consulting. I am also a certified coach, a trainer, and a speaker from a leading leadership institution called John Maxwell Team. John Maxwell is a leadership guru based in US who has written more than 80 books on leadership. I have spent more than 3 decades in high-tech industry, including Texas Instruments, Synopsys, and Cadence. Texas Instruments is the job that I started first in India, in Bangalore, when TI was just about getting started in India. So I belong to the first batch of TI India, which we set up at that time. I also have risen up to vice president of a company in Silicon Valley. And as part of that, I've launched several products and I have been spokesperson for the company. I am an MBA from Haas School of Business, Berkeley, one of the leading business schools in the US, and I would say in the world as well. I have been part of Toastmasters. I don't know how many of you know what Toastmasters is. And if not, that would be something that you must find out and try to join that membership. It's an organization, it's a nonprofit organization dedicated to public speaking, helping you in public speaking. So you get a lot more comfortable speaking in groups, and you also learn leadership skills. I have gone all the way up to what's called DTM, Distinguished Toastmasters level, which is the highest award given for public speaking by Toastmasters International. I have spoken world over. I have done keynotes, panel discussions in US, Asia, Europe, India. I've gone all the way to far-flung place in China called Chengdu, where I did a presentation. This is the emblem of California State University in East Bay, which is a Silicon Valley-based university. I have been a guest lecturer there. And what an irony. Today, I signed up to be a guest lecturer at San Jose State University Business School.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, my first lecture will be next month on 14th.
Oh, great. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been also a community leader in the city of Cupertino, the city where Apple is headquartered. I was part of the city community program where I brought the neighborhood together. I'm also a project management professional, PMP. I have been involved with several charitable organizations, including what's called India Literacy Project, ILP. They do a lot of great work for the education of underprivileged in India. And they do some kind of fundraising events. And this is one of the fundraising events that I was part of, which is held every year. And this is involved 24-hour relay hike. So we walked in the middle of night through Silicon Valley. In fact, we walked almost 24 hours. That's pretty interesting. I'm also a proud owner of Tesla Model 3 car, the best electric car in the world. And this picture was taken in Tesla showroom, and along with all of my family members. You can see others are probably more excited than I am, right? My daughter, she's on my left there. On my left, she is a chip designer in Apple.
Okay.
My son-in-law, who is on the blue shirt on the right, he is a software engineer in Bay Area. And on the left is my son, and he's doing masters in UC San Diego.
Great.
So, I have gone to some good places. This one particularly I'm proud of, which is Istanbul. And this picture was taken in front of what's called Blue Mosque, which is the most visitors attraction in Istanbul. How many of you have been to Berlin Wall when it existed? I have been to Berlin Wall when it existed.
Oh.
There was East Berlin, and it was a Cold War time. Okay, it was 1959, height of Cold War. And we crossed over to East Berlin side, and we also saw the East Berlin at that time, which was under behind Iron Curtain. I've seen all of that. And I have 20 publications in my career. I hope that gives you a little bit of idea about my background. However, my life has not been bed of roses. I did reach this when I was born. I have struggled all my life. So let me tell you a little bit of my life story. When I was 11 years old, I had to leave my parents' town to go to a different town to study further, because the place where my father worked didn't have a school beyond 5th standard. Imagine an 11-year-old boy leaving the town behind, leaving parents behind, leaving 2 adorable sisters behind. It was really a traumatic experience for me. But I hung on. When I was about 14-year-old, I was traveling in a train from central India to Bangalore, where my father had moved. And in the middle of night, all my luggage was broken in and it was stolen. I had just few rupees left in my pocket. So I had a choice to make. Do I eat in the next 24 hours or do I save money for transportation from station to home? I decided to go hungry for the next 24 hours. When I joined the workforce in Bangalore in TI, I was more like an introvert person. So I had really tough time settling into the career and particularly getting the leadership position. I really worked hard. I was working so hard. I was meeting goals after goals. I became a leader, but with very little influence and very little income. But the worst was when I had to leave my 12-day-old daughter behind for a work assignment abroad. Remember, not 12 months, not 12 years, 12 days old. That really drained me emotionally. I thought, would I have life where I can come back from work and play with my daughter ever? So I made a promise to myself that I'm going to change things. I started taking a lot of people skills training. I hired a career coach. I also started taking some very high visibility international projects. Ultimately, as the fate would have it, I got an excellent job offer from a Silicon Valley company, and I landed in San Francisco airport with my wife, 2 kids, and 2 suitcases in hand. I never looked back again. I rose up to become a manager in the company, and I had a large team, but I struggled. I struggled because managing a team in a very, very different cultural environment than where I grew up was really challenging. I really struggled. So I decided to do MBA from Berkeley. And that really helped me a lot in terms of changing my career to marketing and also getting some of the traits of the new leader, the great leaders that leadership that we have around. And then my career took off. I became vice president of a company. I was a spokesperson for the company. I launched several products. And last year, or 1 year earlier, I really decided to start my own consulting company. So as you can see, my life has not been a bed of roses. I have struggled. I've gone through several gyrations in my career, some ups, a lot of lows. But you learn lesson with every low. I learned lesson, I made some key changes, and I persisted and moved on. And this is what I feel that everyone can do. If I can do it, you can do it too. So there are 3 specific lessons that I learned from my life journey. 1, no one is born with the skill to connect, influence, or be leader. These skills are acquired skills, my friends. I didn't have them. I acquired them on the way. If somebody tells you that you can't be leader, you don't even act like leader, tell them to go back and really look at what reality is. Reality is you can acquire those skills. Second lesson is that you have to lead yourself with a growth-oriented outlook. And I'll tell you exactly what those traits are to become growth-oriented. Once you have those traits, you can really prepare yourself or lead yourself internally to lead the world. Third is you have to lead teams and organizations smartly. And I'll again give you a few of the traits of good leaders as to how they lead the teams and organizations smartly. Okay. So based on my learning so far, I've got a 3-step formula for becoming a great leader. First is lead yourself. Unless you are really ready to lead yourself from inside out, you really can't lead. You have to be prepared mentally and from your heart. That's what I call lead yourself. This is about mindset of leader, thinking like a leader, acting like a leader, attitude like a leader, communicating like a leader. Once you can lead yourself, then you can lead teams. Then you need to connect with people around you, build a great team, manage the team in a way that the team has maximum performance. And lastly, if you can lead yourself and lead the team successfully, then you can lead the organization successfully. So they go step by step, and I'll give you a few traits to follow in each of these categories today. Fair? So far, you're with me? You're clear what I'm going to talk about? Great.
Yes, sir. Pretty much clear.
So why? So I'll just have one more slide on what is the benefit of this, all this three-step formula. There are three benefits. One is position. You will have much better position as a leader if you follow these traits. Second, you will have more influence. See, position alone is not enough. I have seen vice presidents with very little influence, and there is a senior manager with higher influence. So position is not the main thing. It's the influence that really counts. So you need to have higher influence. And only if you have high influence and high position that you have higher income. And you need to have harmony. Harmony is very important because unless you have peace of mind, there is no point having success. So to make it interactive, I just inserted a few polls. So I would like you to answer the polls in the chat window if you know the answers, okay? Whatever, close to it. So first poll question, what percentage of millennials believe their leadership skills are not being fully developed? Just take a shot if you don't know. It's like what percentage of millennials are this new workforce? That is you guys. You're all millennials. I consider all young students and anyone coming out of college. They're all millennials for me. What do you believe about leadership not being fully developed? How many percentage of you believe? Any number I can have in chat window? 40%. That's a guess, good guess. 45, that's nice. Okay, let's see the answer. Answer is 63%. 63% of millennials believe that their leadership skills are not being fully developed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how much the gap is in the world in terms of leadership. And that also shows how much potential there is for you to step up, and really do the good in the world, for the world as well as for yourself. Okay, okay, let's get on to the traits. First trait, self-awareness and self-image. I'll try to give examples as much as I can. This is not a lecture, right? When I was in school, in high school, we had a classroom like this. I tried to find a picture which kind of closely depicted the classroom. And this was the kind of classroom I used to attend my classes in the state of Chhattisgarh, actually, which is currently Chhattisgarh. That's where I belong originally from. So it was a school, and I was in high school, and we used to study. I used to do homework almost every day in math, okay? And teacher who really used to like me because I did homework every day. Only one day in the whole year, I didn't do homework. Only one day. That day, teacher asked everyone, oh, so everyone who has not done homework, everybody raised hand. A lot of people raised hand. But I felt a little bit hesitant. Shoot, if I raise hands, then teacher is going to be so disappointed. So I didn't raise my hand. So teacher said, oh, this class is very disappointing as always. Ramesh, now that you have done homework, why didn't you tell them how you did the homework? he asked me to teach the class. It was a theorem that had to be proven. He said, hey, why don't you prove the theorem? And I said, oh my God, I was like, why did I have to see this day today? Why did I not be upfront with my teacher? Then I asked my teacher, I said, could I borrow the book and look at the book and teach? Sure, go ahead, he said. Then I took the book, immediately saw the answers and immediately taught. And later on, my classmates told me that they really thought that was the best lesson they have had of the year for them. They thought that I taught better than the teacher. So there are two lessons I learned from this experience. One, of course, you should not lie in the class. Second is that I could be a good teacher one day. And that's what I have become. I can teach well. I like teaching. And that's why I'm doing the guest lecture in San Jose State University next month. So where am I going with this? Self-awareness is one of the key traits of the leader. What does self-awareness mean? It means knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, your hobbies, your passion, your life goals, your life purpose, and your vulnerabilities. What really makes you vulnerable? All of that are something that you should be aware of and do something about it. If you have a strength, then you should do something about strengthening the strengths. If you have weakness, you need to have some growth areas. If you have passion, then you must do something to follow them. Don't keep them inside your heart. Most successful leaders have very high degree of awareness, self-awareness. If you really can get that right, then you are already stepping into a leader's shoes. That's my first step. Second is self-image. Self-image is what you see yourself in the mirror. Do you see yourself as a roaring lion or a timid cat? Do you see yourself blaming for your failures, or do you see yourself patting your back for the successes you have had? That really determines how you can add value to yourself and add value to others. You have to be strong internally. You have to have pride in what you do, and you have to have high confidence, and you should not be deterred by the failures and not go into negative circles. Rather, you got to think every failure is an opportunity to learn something new and succeed. So just remember two tips. You must know yourself to grow yourself. That is the self-awareness. And second is, if you can't value yourself, then you can't add value in yourself, and you can't add value in others. First, you have to value yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to be confident about yourself. Okay? So that's a trait number one. And there is a related saying that if you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there. That's not what will make you global leader. If you don't know where you're going, you can reach anywhere. In fact, there is another variation I read somewhere. If you don't know where you're going, any map will do. You don't need to look for a specific map. That's not what you want for the leader. Right? Okay, let's go to next trait, self-discipline. In my company, there was an economic crunch at one time. They said, you got to control costs. So we were asked to travel in economy class, in a plane when we were making travel, and also share rooms in hotel rooms when we were on business travel. It was hard for us to absorb. We were grumbling, but hey, we were employees. We said, okay, we got to do, we got it. But when I landed in the destination, what I saw is that my manager came in business class in the airplane. And he had a private car waiting for him to take to the hotel. Completely opposite of what was told to us. The same rule applied to him as well, but he didn't care. This is what is called lack of self-discipline. Self-discipline is about valuing others, same as what you value yourself. typical attitude the leaders have is that if others make mistake, they're very harsh on them. But if they themselves make mistake, they have a justification why they made mistake. So that is what is lack of self-discipline. And that does not bode well for any global leader. If you want to be a global leader, you got to have a great self-discipline so you can establish credibility and trust in the team. And unless you have trust within the team, there is no way you can succeed in the organization, right? So the toughest person to lead is always yourself. Remember, it's not any team member or not the member who is being very tough or challenging in meetings and so on. The toughest person to lead is you yourself. Okay, let's go to trait number 3. Getting out of comfort zone. It's very hard to do, right? We are all brought up in our culture, particularly we are brought up with the notion that play safe. Don't do things that you have not done before. You don't know what will happen, right? So we always try to be within our comfort zone. So here is a story that I went through when I came to US first time with family. There was some commercial in TV or something for a YMCA summer camp in a place called Loma Mar. Loma Mar is a town in California. And I didn't even know where Loma Mar was. But I said, hey, we should jump on it because we are new to this country. This is a very, very different kind of summer camp. Our kids should have this experience. So I signed up for this Camp Loma Mar. First of all, we were driving and I couldn't even find where this Loma Mar was. It was some deep in Redwood Forest. Somewhere there was a place called Loma Mar. Ultimately, we found it. We reached there, and those guys say, well, that's great. Oh, this very new member has come to join, and they were very happy. But they said, okay, have you brought blankets to sleep in the night? I said, oh, were we supposed to? I said, okay, these guys haven't brought. Okay, so they all pulled in their own extra blankets and all, and they gave it to us. He said, okay, please use this. Then my wife is a vegetarian. She said, okay, where is vegetarian food? In the middle of jungle, who will give us vegetarian food? And everybody was there was, white American. And they're all like non-veg eaters. So somehow we managed with some salad and all that. Then my son was 2 years old at that time. He always would take warm milk. Otherwise, he wouldn't even sleep without warm milk. Now we said, okay, where do I warm my milk? Those guys started laughing. I said, what do you want exactly? Warm your milk. Okay, who wants that? My 2-year-old wants that. Oh, shoot. Those guys are really very sorry for us. I said, oh, okay. So let's see, where could you get a microwave oven for you guys? And ultimately, they found one mile from there. And somebody drove us there and we heated our milk and came. So anyway, ultimately, we all had a blast there. We really had a great time. We really enjoyed the summer camp activities. Kids really loved it. That is one of the most memorable experiences we had. The bottom line is, if I had not gotten out of comfort zone, I would have missed this experience. My kids would have missed this experience. They are much more richer in experience because I went out of comfort zone. I learned so many things. I learned how to manage in a cold place. It was in the night, it was pretty cold in that place. How to manage in a cold place, how to manage in the middle of jungle, how to interact with people from different cultural background. All of that was possible because I stepped out of comfort zone. In fact, a lot of people laughed at me. I said, where did you go exactly? I said, Loma Mar, summer camp. And people were like, oh my God, we would never do that. I said, yes, that's right. You don't do that. And that's why you are where you are. And I will one day show you how this helps, right? So getting out of comfort zone is not really very easy thing to do. It's not, nobody wants it. Why do you want to stretch yourself? Right? But great leaders stretch themselves. Great leaders are ready to jump out of comfort zone. If the situation demands, they are the ones who say, yes, I will do it. That's why they become great leaders. And management keeps observing these kinds of things. They observe who is the person who really steps out of comfort zone more often, who has this ability to lead. Only those people have the ability to lead. Because organization goes through so many unknowns. If you can't even get out of comfort zone, then how can you manage organization, right? So the bottom line is growth stops when you lose the stretch. Okay. Just think about a rubber band. Okay. Rubber band is worth nothing if it's not stretched, right? Only when you stretch the rubber band that really it becomes useful item. Like that. You need to stretch yourself. Only then you become useful in leadership journey. Next is curiosity. Curiosity is one of the biggest traits of a leader. If you're not curious, you are not showing leadership qualities. Leaders ask a lot of questions. Have you noticed that? So let me tell you a story from my childhood. First of all, you know who is the most curious person around us? Children, the kids. They are always curious. Aren't the 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds asking a lot of questions? What happens? Why that happens? Mom, why does happen to dad? They're asking questions because their mind is pure. They want to ask questions. They are curious. But as we grow, something happens to us and we say, no, don't ask questions. We will look foolish. We'll be not polite. We won't be seen polite. And that is particularly true for our culture, growing up in India. And that is a huge barrier for one to become a good leader later, because leaders ask questions. So here is a story from that I had read when I was in India. A very young child, okay, he sees his mother sewing at home, and mother was adding this machine oil in the sewing machine. The child, as naturally, was very curious. What is this oil thing? What are you putting, mom? And mom, without thinking much, she said, well, when something makes more noise, we put oil. And that's what I'm doing. See, machine is making a lot of noise. So child got something. Something makes noise, you put oil. So in the night, his grandmother was sleeping and she was snoring. So he goes with the oil and puts oil in her nose because this is where sound was coming from. Anyway, that's a joke. But what I want to tell you is the child is curious. Child's mind is curious. So as when you grow up, don't give up that curiosity. Have that beginner's mindset. Beginner's mindset will really help you grow as a leader. When I'm at home with my children, they know so much. I have no hesitation in asking, what is this? How does this work? I asked the other day to my children, how is TikTok different from Instagram? Because I'm curious. Not that I'll do TikTok. Maybe it doesn't really, isn't for me, but at least I should know. So make why your favorite word. Don't be bashful about asking questions. Great leaders ask great questions. In fact, that's the title of a book by John C. Maxwell. It's called Great Leaders Ask Great Questions. You should read that book. It gives about 50 questions that great leaders ask. And that will make you a good leader. Next is, sorry, yes, any comment, question here? Okay.
No, I think no.
Okay. Next trait is continual learning. Great leaders are great learners. And if you want to continue to lead, you need to continue to learn. Leaders will do great disservice if they think that they have arrived, now became VP, now became director, now I don't have to learn anymore. They will be outdated pretty soon. When I became leader here in Silicon Valley, that's when I joined Toastmasters. because that's another way of learning something new for me, doing public speaking, leadership skills through Toastmasters. I'm in Toastmasters for 15 years now. I could have said, hey, I'm done. I learned enough in Toastmasters and I've learned enough in my leadership. Do I need to continue to learn? But I know that continuous learning is extremely important trait of a leader. That's why I continue to be part of Toastmasters. I'm not part of one Toastmaster club, I'm part of two Toastmaster clubs. I've doubled down on that effort. Only when you grow yourself by learning that you can grow people around you. And only when you grow yourself and when you grow people around you, that you can grow the surrounding, the organization. That's why learning is so important for a leader. Because if you stop growing yourself, then you can't grow people around you. How will you? Right? What will you really be imparting them with if you don't, your own knowledge has stalled? And then you to the organization. Calvin, I will come to that. In fact, let me tell you, no, it is not. It is absolutely possible to reach leadership position just by starting a technical background. You don't have to pursue MBA. If that's a simple answer. So leadership is about influence. You exert influence whenever you interact with people. So if you have people around you, or you're working with people, and you're getting some work done working with people, then you're already a leader. You don't need MBA for that. And only that you have to improve your influence, you have to improve your credibility, trust, and then you will be able to really show good leadership. All of that is possible without MBA. So that's short answer. Now, of course, MBA brings some additional benefits, but the answer for your question is no, it's not needed. Okay, time for the next quiz. What percentage of organizations report they are currently experiencing a leadership gap? There was a survey done recently. I just want you to take a guess. What percent of organizations think that they have a leadership gap? What do you think? Take a shot in the chat window, please. I really like someone putting like very precise number like 46, not 45, not 50, 46.
I was also thinking, yeah.
I love it. Actually, you guys are close on this one. 65 is pretty close. 77% of the organizations report that they're currently experiencing leadership gap. That's pretty high number, right?
No, I think Calvin given 72 also, so it was
okay.
close this time.
Yeah, so looks like Calvin gets a candy. Good job. And by the way, I've given the source also of these stats, and you can look at it more later.
Yeah.
Next, okay, by the way, so far we have talked about is leading teams. I didn't, point to this leading yourself. All these traits so far I've talked about is internal to you, right?
Yeah.
Yourself, self-awareness, learning, all of that. Now let us go to leading teams. So what does it take to lead teams? What are some of the few traits? First trait is having a great verbal impact. Have you noticed some of the leaders I have put here, some of the leaders like Obama, Reagan, or maybe Modi ji in India, Narendra Modi is a great leader with great verbal impact. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, all of these people, when you hear, don't you feel like hearing more and more and really feel like they have a high degree of trust and credibility when they speak? They have a huge impact on you. That's the kind of impact you need to develop. No, you don't have to develop like these leaders, but some verbal impact that will be commensurate with the leadership that you are going to have. In my career, I have had several leaders who had great verbal impact. And I learned a lot from them. And I used to want to listen to them. There are some leaders who were so uninspiring that really you didn't want. So you don't want to be in the second camp. You want to be in the first camp. So what are some of the things you can do to improve your verbal impact? First is use simple language. Okay, simplify your message. Don't have very complicated message. And this what happens and that what happens. Stay on the message. Keep it very simple. That has huge verbal impact. Engage with listeners, like ask questions, ask their point of views, and so on. Choose right words. Words mean a lot in terms of impact, and so on. So these are some of the tips I provided to make a great verbal impact. Because verbal impact sets you apart as a leader. Next item in team, in managing, in leading teams is listening. Of course, everybody says that hey, we got to listen, but do we? So I'll give you first an example of my own poor listening. Back in Bangalore, this is Sid from Bangalore. Okay. I was just newly married, and my wife told me that she will be completing a class from some institute, and I was to pick her up on the way back from office to home. I don't know. I didn't listen. I wasn't paying attention. So, and she was new to Bangalore. We just got married, and she was new to Bangalore. I was familiar with Bangalore. So after office, I came straight home. And then at home, my mother asked, okay, so where is Tani, my wife? I said, huh? What? Was I supposed to do something? Yeah, you're supposed to pick her up. It's, oh my God, it's like I cursed my listening skills that day. And then I was really, I used to have a scooter at that time, Bajaj scooter. And I went on a Bajaj scooter all the way back to the institute, looking at each of the buses to see if she's inside the bus. Fortunately, Bangalore at that time wasn't that crowded as it is right now. And I was able to look at each bus. And she was coming in an auto rickshaw, actually. She ultimately took an auto rickshaw. And then I stopped. And then she saw me, they stopped, and then I brought her and all of that. But I cursed myself for poor listening. We don't listen with complete attention. There is a lot of things that is going on in our mind. As our mind is so scattered brain that we really don't put listening on a high priority. Good leaders listen well. That's why I'm bringing it up. And how you really develop that listening skills, first, foremost, do yourself a favor, give undivided attention to the speaker. If you're on a smartphone, if you're on a computer, at least try to attend to the person who is speaking to you. So when I was in office, at times I was working computer, or somebody comes at the door and says, hey, Ramesh, I need to talk to you. You don't say, okay, go ahead. Don't keep on typing and say, okay, go ahead, tell me. That means you're not giving undivided attention. Stop what you're doing. Turn and listen. Likewise, if you're on smartphone, stop using the phone and listen. Undivided attention is the least of a speaker expects or deserves. Second is what's called responsive listening. Responsive listening is listening with active listener, asking questions, asking clarification, testing understanding. All of that is important because that means you're being very responsive in listening. You're just not, if you're just keeping quiet and just looking blank face, then the person doesn't know whether you're really getting it, not getting it. Lastly, don't just look at the words that people speak. Look at the emotion behind it. Maybe somebody speaking from, a peril, very much upset mind. And if you miss that, then you miss the whole conversation, right? And as a leader, you need to really understand that. Team members will come to you with a lot of different communications. Unless you understand the emotion, the undercurrents that is going on in his mind, you cannot really do justice with them. So listening is extremely important for team building. Next is being assertive. We all communicate. In fact, John C. Maxwell wrote a book called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. One of the reasons we don't connect is we are not assertive. And again, it comes from our cultural background. We are told not to be very aggressive, otherwise you'll look impolite. And you will not be seen well, you will not be respected, and so on. But assertive communication is different from aggressive communication. This is where we get confused. Aggressive is not same as assertive. Aggressive is negative. Assertive is positive. You got to stand your ground. Don't give up. And there are positive ways of doing it. I'll give you a few tips here. But assertive communication is extremely important for a leader. A lot of the times, if the two people who are very good in their technical work and many other things, very similar, but one is not that assertive, other is very assertive, that's what will make the difference in advancing further. That's the irony. Assertive doesn't mean being aggressive like this, right? Like what this picture shows. This is not what assertive is. Assertive is explaining with the right points, with right arguments, and holding your ground. People will understand you. And I don't want to go through all the tips here, but here are a few of the tips I'll let you read. This will help you in your assertive communication. Eye contact, tone of the voice, being firm, asking questions, and not giving up. Hope this helps you. Next trait is being concise. Have you seen leaders speak fewer words, but they convey the meaning? And they speak the number of words exactly what is required for the audience. If they are speaking to a new engineer, say very fresh, recent college graduates coming to the company, they'll explain in more detail. But if it is senior management, they'll speak very concisely. So speaking concisely is extremely important trait of a leader. You don't want to meander and give long arguments. You got to be concise. So I'll give you an example. Here, this is an example of a statement that is made in a company. This is what was communicated. I will provide you with suggestions on your performance so you can overcome the challenges you encounter every day while working, all of that. This whole thing can be made concise. Just say, I help you overcome the daily challenges so you feel less stressed. See, 4 sentences reduced to 2 sentences. And it is not only for written, it's also for verbal. If you are concise and you convey the same meaning with fewer words, you will be considered leader. Leadership, you considered having leadership quality. Have you seen, I've been to several of the meetings where if you ask someone a status, they start explaining that status in such a long and meandering way that people get bored. They say, why is he even talking about these things? All I wanted was some brief status update. And this is what happens, what is going on in this meeting. Again, I've provided a few tips here. Don't have any intention to go through each one of them, but hopefully that gives you an idea as to how you can go about being more concise. One of the good tips is think before you speak. Problem about why people are not concise is because they don't think before you respond. Right? They start speaking. So then they're thinking while speaking, and then speaking goes on and on and on, and their thinking changes. The speaking also changes, and then it becomes very long. So take a pause. Nobody expects you to right away respond to things. You can take a pause and then speak very concisely. Focus on the audience, as I mentioned. Depending on the audience level, you may have to customize the level of conciseness that you need to have, and so on. And you have to practice this, because this is not going to come automatically. You may want to practice it daily, maybe in front of a mirror, as to telling the status in a very small, in a briefly, or any other topic. Status I'm using as an example. Next and most important trait for team building or leading the team is connecting. Connect with people. Don't just communicate with people. So I'll give you first a story of my personal life. This picture is of a gentleman. His name is Professor Larry Pileggi. He is the Dean of Computer Science or Electrical Engineering in CMU, Carnegie Mellon. But I connected with him when he was at UT Austin, University of Texas, Austin. I was working in Texas Instruments, and we were doing a project which used some of the research that professor had done. And normally when you interact, you will say, okay, what the project is about, and it is transactional relationship normally. But I developed such a great connection with him that he invited me to his house as well in Austin. And we became so well connected. And then I lost touch a little bit for a few years. Then when I went to Silicon Valley, from Texas Instruments to Silicon Valley in the company, that company, I was just 1 month old in Silicon Valley. And then I heard that Professor Larry Pileggi is coming to give a lunch talk to the R&D in the company. Engineers were very excited because he's a very well-known personality. His research is highly valued. So everybody was, oh, Larry Pileggi was coming. And I said, oh my God, it's the same Larry Pileggi I connected back in Texas. Right? So I went to attend his talk, because even though I was not part of the engineering team, but I attended his talk. And there was a stage, a lot of people were sitting, and there was no place to even sit. So I stood in the corner of the room, and professor came, he went to the stage, he looked around the room, and he says, Ramesh, what are you doing here? He immediately remembered me, and he said, talk to me after this talk. We have not had chat for a long time. Everybody was kind of pleasantly surprised to see, who is this Ramesh? Because nobody knew me there. I was just 1 month old in that company. And that really improved my standing in the company. I said, this guy knows Professor Larry Pileggi, and he came to the stage and he called his name out. Among all the different people, there were vice presidents sitting in the room, there were directors sitting in the room, but he didn't call them out. He called me out. So connecting helps in every situation. And you have to invest in connecting. Sometimes it will require you to get out of comfort zone to connect with people, because naturally we may not be inclined to connect. So be a connector. If you're a great connector, you can be a great leader. The connector focus on relationships. They value cooperation, not only worry about competition. They value cooperation. They seek partnership. They build consensus. And they are mindful of personality types. They don't just push their own ways. It's not like my way is my way, highway. It's mindful of personality styles, cultures, and territories. Extremely important. As a global leader, you got to be mindful of people's styles, culture, and territories. Where are they from? What does that territory, what kind of mindset would people have from coming from that territory? What mindset people have coming from that culture? If you are a global leader, imagine if an American is a global leader in a Silicon Valley company, and if he is not mindful of a culture of India, and a lot of Indians are in the team, then it will be a problem, right? You won't be a good leader. Likewise, as an Indian leader, I had to be very mindful of the cultures of all over the world, right? I remember when we were in TI, India, a white vice president from US came to Bangalore. and we were hosting him. He was coming for the first time, and he was vice president, very high up person. I didn't know about US culture much at that time. So we sat in a room, and he was asked to give his background to the team so that people get to know him better. So this vice president, he was a very introvert kind of person. He comes to the stage and he says, well, I was told that you guys want to know my background. This is where I did my college from, and this is where I started working. And he gave some professional background. Then he said, is there any question? And I said, yes, I have a question. I was in the office. I said, yes, I have a question. He said, what's the question? I said, what about your family? And he was like red-faced. He didn't expect this question because, the privacy means a lot in the US culture. Say, family? I said, what about my family? He says, I said, tell us about your family, your wife, your children. Where did they grow up? Did you all, where are they right now? And he was like, oh my God, where did I land? He was really very uncomfortable. I made him so uncomfortable because I was not really aware of the cultural sensitivity of the Americans at that time. I learned a lesson. And he said, I have one wife and one daughter. That's all I can tell, no more than that. I said, okay, that's fine. But as a leader, you need to be mindful of such cultural issues, right? Okay, let's go to next poll. What percentage of employees quit their job due to lack of appreciation? The smallest thing a leader can do is appreciate. Wow, that's coming very close to the number, actual number, 80, 75. That, wow, you guys are close. 80%, exactly. What 80% of employees quit their job due to lack of appreciation. Can you believe it? This is unfathomable because this is the least that a leader should do or can do for team building. Okay. Now let me come to the last pillar or last step of my three-step process, which is lead organization. And few traits that will help you lead organization. One is getting organized. Most leaders are great organizers. They are organizational skills, personal organization I'm talking about. They have data in hands and the fingertips. They respond to emails pretty quickly. They have got excellent to-do list. They excellent prioritization, excellent file management system. They don't lose data. If you go to them and say, hey, that person, what did he say the other day? They say, no problem. You'll go, he said, this is what he said. He's got everything right in front of him. That's what makes a great leader. If you're fumbling for data, if you're fumbling for priorities, if you don't know what was the to-do list, task list from yesterday, what did the other person say in the meeting, what was the action item from there? If you can't really go figure those things out, you can't be a good leader. So don't have something like what's on the left side here. You got to have organized things on the right side. And it has not only to do with tasks, it has to do with information, any type of information. You got to organize it in a way that you can access it anywhere in the system. You got to make it cloud-based system and so on. Getting organized, personal organization skills is extremely important trait of a good leader. So here I've given a few tips that you got to make lists. You got to use calendars, you got to manage mail, you need to reduce clutter. The clutter is what I was showing you, and you need to stay organized. Next is managing priorities. As you start managing organization, there will be so many priorities you'll have to deal with, and you can't do them all. How do you manage priorities? I mean, there will be things getting thrown at you. At any day when I was working as a leader, I used to have my plate full and things were falling off the plate, and I didn't know how to go about executing all of that. But managing priorities is extremely important. So there are three tips I'll provide you. One is called Pareto principle. Only 20% of the tasks or projects that you have in your hand has 80% impact. Rest 80% have only 20% impact. If only you can figure that 20% out, you can do much better job of prioritization. So review them. Second tip about managing priority is understanding the importance versus urgency. I used to get confused on this for many years in my career. There'll be a lot of items that will be coming your way. They'll say, hey, this got to be done by tomorrow. This got to be done today by 12 o'clock. And it's already 10. Then I say, oh shoot, I have to do by 12. You start working on it and by 12. But take a pause. Ask, why is it required by 12 o'clock? Why is it required tomorrow? Is it really that important? And what is it about anyway? Why is it coming even to me? Which goal does it try to meet? So you have to evaluate the urgent items. There are important items which can take a little longer, but if you keep doing urgent items, then you can never have time for important items. Of course, you got to do high important, high urgency item first. Then next is high importance, low urgency item. Third is high urgency, low importance item. And fourth is low importance, low urgency. So this is between second and third is where people get confused. People understand the priority, the high important urgency is fine, low urgency is not this lower priority, but somewhere in the other two is where people get a lot confused. And they keep doing those urgent things which don't have much meaning, not much value. And lastly, allow for some margins. You know that you take more time than what you commit to do. And somebody asks you, how long will it take? 2 days. Actually, it will take 4 days. So when you know that, why not allow for some margins? You will be much better off. So let me sum it up. I talked a lot. Right? I talked about three different steps or pillars of becoming a global leader. And I talked about 5 traits for leading yourself, 4 traits for leading teams, and 3 traits for leading organization. Of course, there are many more traits, as you would know. But today, for this talk purpose, I shortlisted these important ones to help you in your journey. Right? So let's see some of the people who have applied these principles and see what the result they've got. Here is customer support manager from an IT services company based in India who worked with me. Can you hear it? Can you hear you? Can you hear this okay?
Yeah. We are getting. We are able to hear.
Okay. Sorry.
My name is Surathkal, and I work for a reputed multinational software company. I have over 10 years of experience in software development, support, and maintenance. Before meeting Mr. Ramesh Dewangan, I faced 3 major challenges in my life: extreme indecisiveness, ineffective communication, and frequent submission to public pressure. However, once I started a one-on-one interaction with him through his personality development program, I began to see a lot of positive changes in my life. As in, I am taking decisions as well as owning up to them, regardless of their size, and communicating more effectively. And I'm also managing to convince more people about my work in a positive way. This has brought a lot of positivity and positive changes in my life, whether it is work or personal interactions. Therefore, to anyone who's watching this video, I highly recommend.
Okay. So let me stop at that.
Hi everyone, my name is Anika Malhotra and I am a senior product marketing manager at one of the leading semiconductor companies. It's been a wonderful 12-year-old journey with ups and downs. And the biggest challenge that I was facing over the last few years was lack of career growth. And I was looking for prescriptive guidance and how do I grow leadership in my domain. I'm very fortunate to have met Ramesh, and with his guidance, I was able to improve on my leadership skills, which helped me get my long due promotion. Now, it took time, which means it took a year or maybe year and a half, but Ramesh helped me understand my strong areas, my forte, and he has a real knack for understanding the individual response. Ramesh's guidance and mentorship helped me switch from my pure R&D role to a product marketing role or a product marketing domain. And really,
so just to give you an idea that this thing works, what I'm talking about is just not theory. It's not only my experience. We have applied it to people who are working professionals today, and they have got better results. Here is a gentleman who is based in Japan, but he's American. He works for an American multinational, and he is one of my ardent followers. He attends all my events actually, and he says that he's able to take some concrete steps for his growth. And there are many more examples. I'm not going to go through everything, but the idea is to tell you that it works. Okay, so let me skip this. So just to sum up, things have turned around for me. Okay, it can turn around for you, and I hope it is worth a lot to you. If you advance as a global leader, have more influence, more income, better social and work reputation, better work-life balance, avoid stress, and pursue your own passion. A lot of people are not able to even pursuing their passion because they're so busy doing the things they're doing in the work. So this is my last slide. I leave you with, if you want to be in touch with me or get some good tips and regular updates from me, please subscribe to Quantum Vision, and that's a link there. You can go there and you will be entered into my database, and I'll be sending out a great set of tips every week or every other week through emails and also through social media updates. Yeah. And my website is right here if you want to look at more. I'm open to questions now.
We have some questions, sir.
Okay, great.
The first question we have from Sandeep. Sandeep wanted to know how to be fearless while questioning. Actually, this is a very good point. When you are talking it out, based on my experience also, I was attending some of the seminar here internally. And there was also, this is the one fact, because we Indians hesitate to ask the question. And so what Sandeep is asking basically is how to get rid of this hesitation, or how we can remove this so that we can get it out.
Okay.
More openly.
Yeah, so let's go through this. This is what this is about. Okay, being assertive. See, first of all, if you do your homework right, if you have looked at the pros and cons of all your points properly, you can articulate it in a way, in convincing way. Without appearing weak, without giving up, looking straight into the eyes of the person, you will be able to convince the other person. You can be fearless. First of all, direct eye contact. Extremely important to show that you're fearless. See, we Indians, we don't tend to look in others' eyes, right? I mean, we don't directly look at eyes and talk something because it's considered very aggressive or impolite. You look at white Americans, they always look at your eyes and talk, no matter what they're talking. Direct eye contact. Assertive stance and posture. Have a very comfortable stance, not like slouch down or be looking timid like this. Right? Have a very they say that, okay, I don't know if you're able to see me in the camera, but they say that the more space you take around you, you appear more fearless. So don't stand like with closed hand in the front of your body. Expand it. Your hand, if you have hand like this, then you are fearless. You show fearless. Even in Indian culture, right? I mean, if you have hand like this, that means, okay, this guy is a person of authority. You don't have to be exactly explicit like that, but take more space. Take more space around you. Keep hand a little bit further from body or at least on the side, not in the front. Stance is very important. So all of these small things, they add up to really, and if you've done your homework, as I said, and you got all your pros and cons, people question you, you should be able to answer them. And if they have objection, you should be able to question them. Question them. If they say, no, I don't think this will work, may I ask why? I'm telling you from my experience, this will not work. But can you tell me why exactly? What are the 3 things that will not work in this? So don't give up, persist. That's how you show fearlessness and still make your point. Okay.
Yep, that will give us doubt. Next question we have from Yogita. They want some more explanation on assertive points. So I think Yogita, I think the slides is having the steps like how you can have this, like how you can practice this assertiveness or whatever this teach. So you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just one thing. Yeah, this is exactly Navneet, you're absolutely right. This is what it is. Just one point I just remembered. Don't apologize for having your opinion. Let me give an example. I see it all the time. People will say, don't get me wrong if I say that, but let me state anyway. I know you might feel it is wrong, but let me state, you're already apologizing for your opinion. Don't. That is what shows the lack of assertiveness from your side.
Agreed. Pretty
Don't
much,
say,
yeah.
I don't know if you will get it right or not. I'm not sure whether I'm doing it right or not, but let me tell you, cut it out. It's like, go straight to the point.
Correct.
Just one more tip.
Yes, correct. We have another question from Calvin. What he is saying, is it good to sometimes questions authority?
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. That's what shows, that will show that you care for the organization. Of course, the way you question and the forum where you question matters a lot. You got to choose it right, but you have to question. That shows that you care for the team. You stand up for your team, stand up for the organization. Organization goal is something that you want to meet. You are really serious about it. Because if you keep accepting what authority says, then that's not really leadership.
Correct. I'll take last question if anyone have anything, because we already are 15 minutes over. Anyone have any questions? Please type it. Okay, we will take this as no. So I think we have learned a lot, and this is something very basic thing that we all needs to start with. First, we have to get ourselves disciplined, lead ourselves, then leading the team, and then growing towards the next step. And there is a lot of small tips that were provided by Ramesh during the presentation, and I hope you have taken the inputs, taken a notes and everything, which will help you to become a good leader in the industry, which just starts from leading yourself. Okay, on behalf of SmartGaon, thanks a lot, Ramesh sir. Thanks a lot for spending the time and providing us these good tips and tracks, very small things which we can keep in mind and then implement in our daily day-to-day activities. And personally, I would say thank you to you, because there is a lot of learning. I also got it with this session. Even I am having around 17 years in my industry experience, but still something is new to me also to learn in today's session, and that really helped me, which is also going to help me in my career also. So really, I'm thankful to you. And students and faculty members, I wanted to thank you all for spending the time listening to us, asking the question, interacting with us, and that's it. Thanks a lot for that. Thank you. And Ramesh sir, thank you.
Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you all today, and thanks for your input.
I agree. It was very good session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. See you in the next speaker series. Thank you.
Bye bye, guys.